I heard you wanna chat with your girl, chat with your girl, chat with your girl, chat. Business and beauty, come and confess how you make your money and say yes to the gas.
I love it.
Come on, choreo. Girl.
I love Say Yas. And I love it.
What's up, Megan Batoon? Welcome to Say Yes to the Guest. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm really stoked to be here.
Where the fuck have you been?
That's what I've been asking myself my whole life. I feel like I'm now stepping into who I am, and I'm so excited.
Well, we're here to break it down. I look at you as a success, self-made, and such an inspiration. For those of you guys listening, we have the one and only Megan Batoon. She's so gorgeous. If you want to go to our Instagram to check out all the gorgeousness, it took me 2 hours to get ready to look half as gorgeous as her.
Please.
You have a very strong YouTube community of 1 million subscribers. You are a choreographer, a dancer, YouTuber, fashionista, home renovator, and host.
Yeah.
What's good?
There's so many multi-hyphenates. Do you feel the same way? There's so many things that you do.
Being on social media, I think that's just a given. You have to be multifaceted in order to make it big, because I think our viewers just love to see a process. And that's one thing that I found out today when I was doing my makeup and I was thinking about what I wanted to ask you or what similarities that we have. We love tackling a process.
Yeah.
I'm not a dancer or a choreographer.
I've seen you dance
or a home renovator, but you seem to love tackling a process, whether that's your home or a dance or just a career, self-discovery. Oh, and you also have a podcast too that I was on a while back. Just a Tip.
Yes.
And talk about Just a Tip, your podcast.
Yeah, it's an advice podcast, or it started as an advice podcast, but then when I started asking the audience for questions, it was very therapy and growth based. And I remember I wanted it to be comedy for so long. I was pushing it to be comedy. And then I understood what my purpose was in doing it was to help other people by having people like you on and talking about our process and how we've overcome stuff, because we're both self-made.
Right.
So it's really inspiring, I think, for people to hear either cautionary tales or what we've done in order to get to where we are, to hopefully give some cheat codes or something to help everybody. I wish I had my podcast or your podcast when I was growing up, you know, and I'm just trying to do that now.
I love it. You're doing it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I am doing it.
It's so different than the podcast that I've been on. I was on another podcast called Breaking Beauty, and everything I think is beauty adjacent to me. I think ever since your podcast, actually, I was able to maybe have some self-reflection on what it takes to kind of make it in terms of my industry or anything social media adjacent like you and your success. On the Breaking Beauty one, we talked about product, love, application, self-love, self-worth. It was very beauty focused, but with yours, it's just everything about life and what that means to you.
Yeah. I just think that's so interesting. I mean, we're all trying to figure it out, right? Especially now through COVID. It's what does anything mean anymore? And I think it's such a great opportunity to ask ourselves, what's important? What do we love? How can we be there for ourselves? Because I don't know your full story, but I know the come up, you know, working from Mac and coming all the way to now, you being a business mogul beauty icon. It's been a journey, right? And so I'm just interested in that process for everyone's life, because so much is happening, but if we can help one another in some way through life, because it's really hard, then that's the goal.
Just the tip.
Yeah, just a tip.
Talk about your journey. I want to know and break it down to people listening how your childhood or where you started as a dancer or an active. I would imagine you as a crazy off the wall little girl.
Totally.
And then you're still off the wall, breaking walls, putting back walls up. Your channel is just so eclectic.
Yeah, that's a really nice word.
Yeah, I think if I was to think of Megan Batoon, it's eclectic.
I love it. The whole thing. I mean, growing up on the internet is confusing. I started my channel when I was 20 years old. When did you start yours?
I started about the same
time. I put so much online. If I almost wish that I had beauty or DIY, but I just didn't really know what I was doing, and I wanted to.
And you started out dancing.
I was dancing first, right? And I remember being at a Justin Bieber audition and everybody was freaking out about the choreography, and I was looking at a short film on my cell phone on the outside of the dance studio, and I remember being so compelled into this short film, and I was crying, and I was thinking, oh my god, if everybody else around me is freaking out about this choreography, trying to like book this world tour, and I'm looking at my phone so invested, why am I here? Because I know that I can write, I know that I can direct, I know that I can act and be a host and do comedy. So why am I waiting on somebody else to give me a job based off of what I look like?
Wow, it was that moment.
Yes, because in the dance industry, so awful at times, in my experience, is we would get typecasted before we could even show if we were talented or not. So we would go in, and if we weren't blonde enough or tall enough or skinny enough or thick enough, we would get cut just because of the way we looked. And that was awful to me. I'm a good dancer, right? And so I couldn't even show people that because I didn't look like how they were imagining, which is totally fine if you have like a concept, for sure, but maybe I'm not right for this industry. And so then I took to YouTube and started shooting my own videos and shooting my own dances and just like taking it into my own hands and not letting somebody else have the power over me in my career.
And then did that lead to the acting, or were you doing the acting and auditioning in tandem and building your social at the same time?
When I first moved to LA, it was kind of just like whatever I could get. Like it was like either a dance audition or an acting audition. I don't think I even got an acting audition. I just really didn't like acting at the time. And then I guess when I was doing YouTube, that's when I started to discover who I was in any way, and then started building from there. Everything came from YouTube.
I want to go in a circle really quick, because you shared so much. You talk about like just putting yourself out there, putting yourself out there. And then I just watched one of your most recent videos. You've been working on a year-long project, which is to be announced later this year.
Yeah.
And you're like, I shared too fucking much.
I know. Well, you notice I shared too much at the time that I didn't know who I was, or like growing up online. Oh, that's what I was going to say too. Like if I only focused on one thing, that would have like saved me a little bit. But I think I've learned, I feel like if you watch my channel from like front to back, which like don't, but like if you ever did, you could see the growth and see this person trying to figure it out and like trying really hard and kind of failing and just like not settling into who I am. It was just like, here's a joke, there's a joke, it's entertainment, like watch me be impressive instead of watch me be a person.
And then do you think it took a lot of just oversharing to kind of build that self-awareness? Because I feel like self-awareness, there's different processes to becoming self-aware to become a success. With you, I feel like you had to just do it all and pretty much just put yourself out there, and now you kind of know your tolerance to that.
Exactly.
And just this year, you said.
Just this year. Well, I think it's like so much reflection too, of like journaling and talking to friends and therapy and understanding like what is, I guess, helpful. Because like I've overshared things that don't need to be shared. Like I just like learned exactly what you said. Like I'm learning the tolerance and learning the limits and learning what's actually helpful for other people. The whole journey of growing up online is pretty wild.
Do you feel like it was necessary for you to overshare to find where you needed to be? Because I feel like people listening and aspiring to become a great success, especially during these times of COVID, that we have to be socially media savvy in a way to jumpstart a self-made career. And I want to help people understand how to go about that. But is your point of view on saying that you needed to stop sharing? Did you have to get there by oversharing and seeing what you needed? Like, do you advocate for not sharing too much, or do you advocate for trying it all? Because I was watching your video.
That's an interesting question.
Because I was watching, I was like, is she saying don't share too much, or I needed to share too much? Because there's two ways that I looked at it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's different for everyone. Like for me, I realized that I overshared too much in my early years on YouTube. I remember when I was in relationships and it just like, it wasn't great for me because I would put everything out there and then I had nothing left for me. I feel like now I'm understanding what's for the internet and what's for my personal self. I told myself that I would never release like my personal information online, not like my social security number, but like who I'm dating or whatever. And so I've gotten over that part because that was just like, I didn't do it right, but I think it's like I had to learn the wrong way in order to know my limits. So I don't know, to answer your question, like I don't know if I could tell anybody else what works for them.
What about baby Batoon?
Oh, what would I tell myself?
Or your child? What was your mommy advice advice? Are you one of those celebrity actors that are like, my daughter's not getting into acting?
I didn't know. Oh my
have you ever
gosh,
thought about
that's
that
gonna
far?
be crazy. That's gonna be crazy.
Like, don't overshare. Watch what you're posting.
Honestly, I have no idea.
I wanted to throw it out there for you to look through that lens too.
I guess it's just like, I don't know, be discerning on what you want to share, because the internet is forever. That's what's crazy too. For people like me that like to share a lot, it's like that is going to be forever. Like someone's going to download that video and you're going to private it and it's going to be out there.
Right.
As long as you're pushing to share what's really authentic, then you'll be safe.
Right.
Because that's honest.
And that's how you grow.
Yeah.
Because people resonate with that. I think more than ever now, people smell the bullshit and know the bullshit. So I feel like you have to. And then if you happen to cross that line of oversharing, I think you'll realize what's right for your own personal journey.
Yeah. I think I've confused vulnerability and oversharing before. And I always thought that.
What's the difference?
Well, to me,
Tell me, because I don't know.
to me, I think I was like, if I can just say everything that I think, people are going to resonate with my vulnerability and it's going to be like a safer space. But that's not the case. It was like, if I just shared everything, it's like, okay, we didn't need to know about your hemorrhoids or whatever. Like, not that I've shared about my hemorrhoids, but I guess now I am. But like at that time, like if it's not helpful, you don't need to share it. But like vulnerability, I think, is coming from a place of honesty, and oversharing to me maybe just coming from a place of like, I want to talk about myself, or I want to feel important, or I just want connection, you know, something like that.
I was going to ask you too, I think since I watched your video, so just to brief everyone, you posted a video, what was it, like really recent?
Like last week, I think.
Last week, saying
Thank you for
that
watching.
of course, that you overshared, you're like a whole new person, you kind of disappeared for a year.
Yeah.
Because you're working on this huge project, which I'm
Yeah.
so excited for everyone to know about. And it's not that you disappeared because you needed a mental break. Let's just start from there. You literally left to go work on something super huge. You came to this point where you're now a new level of self-aware with yourself. What are you most proud of now versus what were you most proud of 5 years ago?
Wow. Oh my gosh. 5 years ago. Oh, I'm 29 now, so 24. I was probably like most proud of like teaching dance overseas, or like dancing for really cool artists that I listen to, something like that. Now I'm just so proud of the fact that I know who I am in this moment, and that I can share that authentically with the internet and help in any way. Like I'm now making videos that I'm basically calling, like I'm giving the cheat codes of like self-love, because I'm like, oh, I get it now. Like I've done so much inner work that I'm making the videos that I wish I had when I was 24.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. For people that don't know, you're Filipino and we're
Yes.
both from Florida.
Yeah.
So I'm like, does that mean that we're just so extra and cheesy in our own Filipino way? And coming from Florida, it's such, I don't want to say boring ass, but it's it's a canvas state. And what I mean is like, it's such a state where you can just do whatever. And
Yeah.
I grew up really bored in Florida. So I feel like it allowed me to really color my world with things that I wanted to do. Would you say?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I also think that being Filipino, we have already like art in our blood. In a traditional Asian household, our parents will probably want us to be doctors or lawyers or nurses or dentists or whatnot.
Right.
And so it's either you go that route or you kind of are like the rebel and then you do the art thing. But Filipinos are artistic.
Yeah.
You can either dance, you can either sing, you can do something, you're a painter, whatever it
Yeah.
is. And so I think like we're blessed to be Filipino, but at the same time, whatever in our nature or nurture, like our family or our environment, has helped us push ourselves to go from working at the mat counter to now being like the hugest billboard in Sephora. You know, like it takes what's inside too.
Right. With growth, there's no regrets for you, like in the process and in the journey. Because you're a social media success. Like I want everyone to know, like you are doing it all. Like every time I would flip my subscriptions, you're doing something in your back, like literally DIY. And then like knowing that you have you're so petite, by the way, and so like a little Polly Pocket. You have so much energy. You have an amazing podcast. You have an amazing point of view. You have all this energy, and you're installing a sink, and then you're like dancing, and then you're still tackling social media, and you're just all over producer and director of your life.
I think what's interesting is, I guess I will have to answer the regret question, but I do want to say, I think that it took me a long time to understand that I'm just an artist, because it's for so long I was like, am I a DIYer? Am I a YouTuber? Am I a this? Am I a that? And I'm like, why do I need to label myself? All of that is under the umbrella of creation. So I'm a creator. I'm an artistic creator, and that's that. Some days I'll be dancing, some days I'll be installing a sink, and that's cool.
And on top of that, editing and producing the video
Like
and
the
uploading
business
it, staying engaged.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But do I regret anything? That's such a hard question, because I feel like I wouldn't be able to get to this spot unless I went through everything that I went through. So I probably can't say I regret anything. Let me do it. I feel like that's interesting though. What do I regret? I regret not understanding how I worked and having that infiltrate my relationships when I was younger. Just so I didn't know how I worked, then I was like projecting on my ex-boyfriends, and I was like creating drama when it was just like, girl, just journal, you know? Like.
So is that what you do now to kind of like help organize your thoughts, your feelings? Because I feel like as creatives, we have so many outlets in which we want to express ourselves or just like exert energy into. And I feel like that's also my problem. Like I have so many ideas, so many things I want to do that I don't have any place to put my energy into. And so I found journaling too helps.
Yeah, journaling is great for me. I've started vlogging just for myself.
Girl, that's another job.
No, but like not posting it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
As what? Like a diary?
Like a diary, like a video diary, because
Really?
your brain works much faster than our hands can write, right? So if you just like, it's basically video journaling.
Like mad scientists, like, hey, today's July 23rd and I am feeling crazy. Is that you at home talking to yourself and you just have a little Dropbox or something for
video
it?
logs.
Do you watch it back?
I do.
Like when? So that, like, let's say you film tonight, talk about Patrick Star or your emotions and how crazy it was, and then when would you watch it?
Probably right after.
Oh, really?
But I think it would be cool to just like do like 10 days or something without watching it, and then watch them all back.
Wow.
I don't know. My friend Gabby told me about it, and I was like, this could be a real thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So give it a shot if you want.
I think I might talk to myself tonight.
Yeah. That's basically what it is.
This is like no holds back. Like you can be totally unfiltered, talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about. Yeah. Wow. And that's been therapy to you.
Aside from like actual therapy.
So there's therapy, self-vlogging as a personal diary, and journaling. Yes. I think we're getting it all on how to be creative.
Yeah.
You're literally cracking the code for us today.
Totally.
What would you say for social media is the key to success?
Authenticity. When I started, I thought it was relatability and consistency, which definitely, I mean, like we're working against and with and for the algorithm. So, I mean, you have to be consistent if you want any sort of traction. But I think the thing right now, exactly what you just said, like people can smell the bullshit. So I think finding a way to be honest in whatever way that comes up for you as a creator, I think that's the only thing that matters.
Do you believe in collaboration, camaraderie, like in the industry too? Because as a dancer, that's, I feel like how you like built that network too. Yeah,
I think it's really hard to do things alone. As much as I'm an introvert and I like to be alone, when you're creating, there's a time and place to create alone, and then working with other people just expands your mind, and it makes you think of things that you didn't think of before, and then you can piggyback on each other's ideas, and it becomes something that neither of you were thinking before. And so I think that's really good if you can find people that you vibe with, because I've also tried to collaborate with people that we just weren't on the same wavelength, and it's just like I don't even feel good, you know. So I think feeling is really important, kind of like the important compass of like, which direction am I going to take? Does it feel good to me? That's like kind of my question I keep on asking myself.
And in terms of like owning your success because you do it all, other than like a significant other, what was it like building out your team? Or like, because I would assume as creatives we love control.
Yes,
we love control, but in order to scale, we have to relinquish that control too. So at a point, like, what advice would you say to kind of wrap your head around that control? Because I think with influencers, when we get to a certain point in a career, you would need an assistant, a manager, a publicist, you know, a producer, a director to kind of help you expand and scale your business. So what is your take on that?
That was a really hard thing for me, giving up editing control, because I also love editing, but at the same time, you're giving someone footage that they could do anything with.
I know.
Right? Like, what if you said something dumb or offensive and they didn't cut it out? Now I always look at what's going to go out before, but I was just still so nervous. Like, what if my editor is judging me? So that was really hard for me to finally get an editor.
Because it's your voice.
Right. And so I think the biggest thing for me was trusting that people had good intentions and that they were there to help you, and trusting the people to do their job. Like, we can do a lot of things, but we can't do it all, nor should we. We should focus on what we're the best at, and then we can let people be in the seats that we can drive this car together in the best way. It's that saying, like, if you want to go far, what is it saying? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Because you'll burn out.
Right.
I've had to burn out so many times.
That is
before.
so good.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's a good
I'm going to
quote.
put it on the wall somewhere.
Yeah.
Megan Batoon.
No, that's not my quote. Hopefully I can have a quote
Say
like
it
that one
again.
day.
If you want to go
fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
Go together. Now, did you have to learn trust? I feel like there's two types of people. Like, we assume the best in everyone, where I call it my 100. Do you start meeting people with 100 and then they maintain that 100, or do you give them a 0 to start and then you build that? So I feel like most creatives start everyone at a 0. Like, I don't fucking trust you, blah blah blah. Show me build your 100 with me, and then I'm gonna fucking trust you. I feel like that's the Megan Batoon. Like, look, with the editor, did you said, hey, can you do this? Like, I need to earn your trust to do that, because that is such a vulnerable spot.
It is. I think my general disposition is thinking the best of everyone. So they start
Filipino.
at 100. Filipino. That's right. Are you hungry? Here's food. Like,
Yes.
You're not going to go hungry. You're not going to go alone. Like, this is home. As long as they pass my vibe check, like when I'm hiring people, I have to just feel it. Again, I'm just like such a feeler that if I feel like you're a good person,
right,
then you have the trust, and you have trust until you break it. But then even when people break trust, I've also built that back up again. So I think people start with trust.
And that's how you build grit, and that's how you're able to grow and learn. Because sometimes I feel like if people felt like trust has been broken, they just eliminate it altogether. And I feel like that prevents them from learning and building trust and tolerance to things. Because if it's inside, then who knows where else it can come from.
Right. If you break trust in people, like X you out, that's not doing anyone any good. You could just have a conversation like with yourself and them and work on it and be in a better place because of it. Forgiveness is one of the best feelings.
So where did you learn forgiveness? From your relationships or from, are we going there?
Where did I learned it because some of my relationships romantically, but even some friendships too, where I felt betrayed and then had to really deal with those emotions and understand that forgiveness wasn't absolving the things that they did. It wasn't like, if you say, it's not saying it's okay, it's saying like, I'm gonna be okay. And there's the difference there. I always thought that, oh my God, they hurt me so bad. If I forgive them, they're going to think I'm not in pain. They're going to think they didn't affect me. People that I've forgiven, I haven't even said it's okay to them. That's not, forgiveness is not for them. It's for me, my peace of mind.
So what does your team look like now? And then I want to walk through like a day in the life of Megan Batoon.
Oh my gosh. My core team, I have a manager and 2 assistants. And then it goes, past that agencies, publicists, that type of stuff, which actually I think I don't have those anymore. I pared down this year.
You did.
When I was on my show, it was just like, I can't do all of this. And I felt like I was missing from social media because I wasn't allowed to share anything. Right now, I pared everyone down to start over again. And so right now I have 2 assistants and a manager, and that's kind of it. And I'll build from there once I solidify this new version of me. I was telling you before we were recording, even getting dressed this morning, I was like, none of my clothes feel like me. So I've got to figure out who this is and what the future looks like. And then I'll start adding on team members that I trust.
A lot of the thing is that I've gotten from younger influencers is like, how do I look for an assistant? And I go, well, what kind of assistant are you looking for?
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you delegate responsibilities to your assistants and your team?
Yeah, I think what I did was write a list of all the things that I need to do whatever it is. Film a video, push out a video, record a podcast, make assets, whatever it may be, writing like to the granular detail, like what are all these things. I was thinking about all the things that I didn't have to do in order to alleviate time and like create more time to create. And then from there, my manager's friend was like a HR person. So I was like, she was basically the person that put all of the prerequisites out, and the resumes would come back, and then I would interview people, and whoever felt like the best match with my energy was the people that I gravitated towards. Because I learned that in hiring, it's not really about the skill set. Like that will totally, you need like at least a certain amount of skill, but skills for what I need can be taught. Like I can teach someone Photoshop, I can teach someone how to edit, but I can't teach someone to have a good attitude.
Right.
I can't teach someone to want to show up and do the best work for themselves, you know, for pride. I'm your boss, sure, but I want you to do the good work for you.
And be just as motivated.
Yeah, I want you to be happy with your growth. Like I want you to feel like your own boss in a way. Because with my assistants, I needed someone that was on the creative side, and I needed someone that was on the admin side. And then I can do everything else. I like to do stuff. I'm like, I just get a serotonin jump doing like little tasks. So I'm like, no, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that.
Like I said, a process. You love a process.
Always. But I definitely need help with like the business, like posting TikToks and doing like Instagram reels. Like I'm tired. I just want to like create art.
Well, we were looking at your TikTok and we were kind of like upset that you don't fucking dance on your TikTok.
The
right,
place
guys?
where all people need to be dancing.
We were like, of all the motherfucking people, the dancer choreographer that blew up on social media from this one talent, your manager and team was probably nodding their fucking heads right now that you're not fucking jigging and jiving on TikTok.
I know, I should be, but you know, it's just... It's so interesting because
you are the one to start a trend with the way that you were dancing. You were just dancing and fully choreographing my intro for me.
I should. I mean, I just feel like
I just fucking threw a whole wrench in this.
I know. Now I'm like, I need
life.
to do that now.
So are you gonna dance now on TikTok, and then I can like duet you, and then we can like come up with the dance? And
I should. I'll dance to your pod intro on TikTok.
Let's do it.
I love it.
Do you have a philosophy on why you don't dance on TikTok? Because you're very advice mumsy. You're not 60, by the way. You look great. Like you could still move.
I feel 60.
No.
I feel like, why do I not dance on TikTok? You know what it is? I think like when I got TikTok and I saw the people that were blowing up, like all the 16-year-olds in crop tops, I was like, I'm not 16 nor in a crop top.
Come for them, Megan. Just come for their necks, girl. You can.
They look great. But that's not for me. And so I also tried to learn like the savage dance, and it doesn't feel good to me.
Oh my
God. Like in my body doesn't feel natural. So I'm like, maybe I'll post clips of me doing normal dances.
You're like, because I'm a real dancer.
I'm a dancer. I'm a dancer. I mean, I get, honestly, like, no bullshit. There probably is like a superiority complex somewhere in there, but I'm just like, I would rather like paint a wall.
Oh my gosh. You're so crazy and so talented. I was just like, why is she not on TikTok? And you produce, and you know, it's just crazy to me.
Maybe I will. Maybe I should. That's the thing. I'm just tired now. Like, I've been doing this for feels like a long time.
It was like 24/7 for you. So how do you treat social media now?
Now I have went through so many different stages of it, of like
And
giving
that's okay.
myself totally.
And that's okay.
Yeah. I was like giving myself timelines to be on social media and then not be on, and then I was trying to do there's like an iPhone situation where you can set a time limit for yourself, and I would always be like, okay, no, 15 more minutes, and it's like, okay, this is an issue. And then I cleaned out my entire following list to where it's just like mental health and anti-diet and DIY stuff. So anytime I go on, it's just positivity. Because before it's like I'm following all these influencers that like make me feel bad that I'm not traveling or not like 5 pounds, and I'm like, this isn't helping anyone. And so I think my relationship with social media changed to also not need it for validation, because before it was like it was a connection tool.
You were under the influence.
I was under the influence.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, that's just like a little tool. Then I was like, oh, it's only a business. Like when I was on the project, it was just business. I was not sharing any of my personal thoughts. I wasn't sharing anything about my personal life because I also couldn't. Anytime that I was like the job was a travel job, like away from my house. So anywhere I wasn't allowed to post because it would be like you're giving away the details of the secret project. And so I basically had to stay silent. And now I'm like, understood, I'm gonna share what is worth sharing.
And I think it's relative, everything that you're saying in terms of tolerance and tolerating social media and what you're ingesting and digesting on social media is relative to your age and where you're at in your life.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, I think because when you're younger, I was talking to my friend Nikita Dragon, and I was like, these kids that are just blowing up right now, they're just at home, they're scrolling through their phones, and after school they don't have a job, so they're probably just like growing and blowing up on social media because they don't have a rent to pay for or a mortgage or a career or taxes or a team to worry about or paid content. So what does your day-to-day look like now? Like, where are you at right now at 29 as Megan Batoon? Like, how do you handle your social media now? If anyone wants to be 29 looking up to you, like having kids or a career they're balancing or a relationship, like what can they take from you in terms of your day-to-day on how to go about social media?
I really like my relationship with social media. My managers probably don't love it because I'm not on it as much as other creators. Sometimes, like, if I know that I haven't been on it in a while, I'll like set a timer and then I'll go, I'm only replying for 20 minutes on Instagram. And then I'll go, okay, 20 minutes, now we're going to do Twitter. Like, and make sure that I do that, because as a creative and as a business owner, we have to do that, right? We've got to create, but we also have to do the admin side. I set little time limits for myself. I free scroll before bed and at night, or before bed and at the same time, when I wake up and before I go to bed. And that's kind of like my ingesting whatever I want. But other than that, I try not to go on it in the middle of the day. I try to post one piece of content somewhere every day. Sometimes it's multiple platforms. But other than that, I don't really like to be on it.
And then what's the rest?
The rest. So that's the social media day. I wake up without an alarm now because I'm listening to my body. That's like my main thing. Like,
oh, that's good.
Listen to my body.
Dance through and through.
Totally. But like I wake up at like 5:30 anyway, so it's like so it's so weird. But I also go to bed at
weird.
like 10.
It's inspirational. Like, I want to get my ass up at 5:30.
It's not every day though. I wake up in the morning and I make a dirty chai, and then I feel like I'm the most creative in the morning and at night. So I'm understanding like my creative circadian rhythms, I guess, of going, I have my first big push when I wake up after I've had my caffeine, and I do emails, reply to YouTube comments, kind of like ideate whatever's going to go on for the day. And then sometimes if I feel really inspired, then I'll just make a video in the morning. And then I get so inspired by that video that I start editing it. And then I understand like when the right time is to stop editing. And then from there, I kind of have like a midday break and I do whatever that is, which is like probably going online and searching for like the next bathroom mirror or something like that, like some sort of thing for my house, and getting really inspired with that. And then calming down, having like just like a conversation with a friend, maybe going on a walk or something like that. And then towards the end of the day, more phone calls, whether it's like Zoom meetings or planning or talking to teammates. And then I just wind down for bed. The same thing. I don't have like a very exciting life, but I love it.
It's spontaneous.
Yeah. It's very much like feeling what my body and my needs are in that moment. Like, do I want to paint? Do I not want to work today? If I don't want to work today, I have to figure out a way to do that. Because like, that's another thing, like working with what you feel like you want to do and what your obligations are. That's also an interesting little line to balance.
Right. And I think also too, since I started my journey and I look back, because I'm 31 now, I realized there was a very big degree, an emphasis on spontaneity when I started. The more I grew and the more that you grow, you don't have to be on social media to relate to this, but the more obligations that you have to life, whether that be family, professional, personal, it starts to become scheduled.
Yes.
It starts to become redundant, and it starts to become more away from the idea of spontaneity, which got us to where we are today.
Yes.
More than ever.
Say it again. Oh my God.
But I think but looking at your life, like just seeing what you've done, like brand deals, you were on a year working on this huge project that was by the schedule, on the schedule.
Maybe that broke me.
But also too, but listening to your routine now, it's very spontaneous and going back to that. And I think that's what drives you to become authentic, and anyone listening, because as a creative, creative, we're able to just do what we want on our own terms. And so that's what I feel like I'm always starting to reach to, because I have my podcast, I have my beauty brand One Size, I have to supply Sephora, I have to even remind myself to eat.
Totally.
And sometimes I don't listen to my body, but I feel like spontaneity is the key to social media success too.
Well, just allowing yourself that space to be creative and curious. Like the way that we found our passions is like we were drawn to something and we tried it, right? Like when was the first time that you picked up anything with makeup?
Oh my gosh, I was like 12 or 14 and I was just curious and gay in the closet. And
yeah, so what
was
was
spontaneous.
What was so interesting about makeup to you? Like what was
Well, I think foundation. I wanted to cover up my scars and my acne, and it was just interesting. And I saw a lot of other YouTubers doing it, but I was a boy, so I had to do it like in my room, locked to myself. But
look how that small inkling of being curious,
right,
because you went with something that was drawing you. That's beautiful. Oh my God. You're like shattering norms. You're doing so much with one small thing. Imagine if you didn't do that.
Right.
Wow.
Crazy. With you now at your age, right before 30, what are you giving yourself permission? What are you allowing yourself to do?
I think I'm allowing myself to take breaks and understand that I don't need to be productive 24/7. Because growing up in a household, in an Asian household of like get straight A's and excel in everything that you do, it started to make me be my own like inner critic. Just like I was always harder on myself than I should have been. That was like, I'm not doing enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not dancing enough, you know, whatever it might be. Now I'm like, no, I am enough. Just because I'm existing, and that's good. So like I think getting to that point in my life is like, oh, I don't need to make 5 videos in one day. I don't need to, you know.
I wish. I fucking wish.
I've also never done that. Like I don't need to.
Sure, Megan. Sure.
I've just like been overachieving my entire life, but now I'm like, oh, I'm good. Like now I can finally take a breath and go, it's okay if you don't do that today. You can do it tomorrow or when you feel the want to do that. Because I don't know if you've experienced this, but like if you have to do something that you don't want to do, your energy is at odds with yourself. And if we have to do like a brand deal and we're not feeling like recording that day and we have to like push through it, that's really hard because people can tell, and then the energy doesn't come off right, and it's just like then we're not being our authentic selves because we actually don't want to film today. I'm realizing that if I don't want to film today, then I don't film today. And then I do it the next day or whenever I am inspired, because that's going to give a better product. It's going to serve the purpose better of helping people. Because if I'm just trying to be on camera to be on camera, what is that doing?
Yeah, there's no point.
None. It's not a show about me. It's a show. It's not a show. It's a YouTube channel.
Right.
It's a YouTube channel that's trying to help other people.
Right. What would you say is the biggest gift of your career?
Maybe the opportunity to get to this point, to like see myself grow so much and see trial and errors and get feedback. Like hate comments in the beginning would kill me, but now if I take what they're saying and dust off all like the meanness of it to go, is there a level of truth here? And sometimes there was, and sometimes and that also has helped me get to this point of like I am able to put myself out. Like I have enough privilege to be able to put my life on camera and have the world see it, but then also get feedback from real people that are taking it in and going, oh, I didn't like when you said that, or maybe you should research this, or that's not a real word, or whatever it is, or like we can tell that you don't really want to be here, or something seems off. Those comments allow me to go, is there any semblance of truth here? And if there is, then I'm able to work on that. That's really helped a ton.
That's good. Well, to me, you are the queen of doing the most all the time. And it's such an inspiration. We do have a little segment before we close called Doing the Most.
Doing the Most, DTM.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Doing the most.
Doing the most, bitch.
Who do you think is doing the most?
Who do I think is doing the most?
Yeah, who? It could be anybody, anything.
Oh my gosh. Who do you think is doing the most right now?
No, it's your question.
I'm gonna answer after you.
Megan Batoon. Like this project that you told me, I can't believe you did it during COVID and quarantine. Like, I think you're doing the most from just your own channel, your career, and then tearing down your home and building it back up is just like the most to me. So I would say you.
Yeah, I might have to agree with you.
Yeah, it's okay to say
I'm doing the
yourself.
most.
I think so. And you even showed up today, so I'm really, really honored that you're here. What means the most to you?
Connection. Yeah. Connection in all the ways. Connection with others, connection with myself. As a human species, like, we're hardwired to be in community. And so I think that connection is the only thing that has brought me clarity, and true joy is like just like being able to be here with somebody else and be on the same wavelength and be able to like really be honest and just like fucking vibe.
So you're telling me that you're a words of affirmation and acts of service kind of bitch.
Yes, I am. Holy shit. How did you get that?
If I need my shit fixed, I know who the fuck to call, girl, and tell how much I love you and how much you mean to me.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Those are my two. Are those yours?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Filipino.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you.
When were you the most messy?
In what way?
When were you the most messy?
Oh my God.
It can be
Messy?
a night out. It can be an era. It can be a year.
Probably like after college. Really just trying to figure out what's going on. I was just everywhere. I was everywhere doing everything, but like in the worst ways. Like I wasn't an awful person, but like I definitely did some like morally questionable things.
That's another podcast.
Like for me.
Okay.
Like my moral
Okay.
standards. Like other people would be like, okay. But for me, it's like, that's not really your
This is
character.
pre-YouTube, pre-social
This is
media.
pre-YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, I think we all need.
God.
We need that before we get into YouTube. If not, it'll be blasted all over the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The internet does the most.
For sure.
That's
for sure.
That's who does the most.
What is the most expensive thing you have?
Probably my house. I guess that would be the most expensive thing I have.
This is what I wanted to ask you. Are you getting another fucking house?
I want to.
I feel like I see it and you're not telling us.
You see it
and
in
that
my
you're
future?
you're either building it from scratch and you have a contractor's license on the way or
I want
something.
to.
You fucking would.
I want to so badly.
Batoon the builder.
Yeah.
Literally.
I'm changing my bio
Straight
right
up.
now.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
podcast.
you.
You're a trailblazer and doing all the things that I can't.
Oh my God.
Everyone, please go follow the one, the only Megan on Instagram and YouTube at Megan Batoon and check out her podcast, Just a Tip, and all her cute merch. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you. You're a delight. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Say Yes to the Guest. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast and follow at Say Yes to the Guest on all social platforms. Remember, you are successful. Now go out and be the bad bitch you truly are. Can't wait to chat with you next time. Bye.